Shalom and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. This is a recording from our June 2024 Scholar in Residence weekend with Rabbi Mikie Goldstein. This drash is titled Spying Out the Land.
Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. We read today a verse that you might remember from high holiday services as well, in the Slichot. God said, I pardon as you have asked. The story begins with the choosing of people, elevated members of each tribe, not just any person, but special people from each tribe, who went and searched out what the land of Israel looks like and how wonderful it is. We know the story. They come back with that big bunch of grapes that is so big that two men have to carry it. And they tell, first of all, the wonders of Israel, and then they say, yes, but. We all know that the but means whatever we said beforehand you can forget, and they go into the fact that there's no way that we, this weak Jewish people, or they were the people of Israel at the time, just come out of Egypt, how are we going to go and conquer that land? There are giants there. They've got big cities that are completely surrounded by big walls. There's no way that we're going to conquer. And then, of course, we have the two of the members of this delegation that went to scout out Israel, Yoshua bin Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh, the two spies who say yes and, not but and. Yes, there will be difficulties along the way, and God is with us. And so if God wants us to go there and to conquer the land, then we have to trust in God. And what is the response of the people to Yehoshua and to Caleb? Let's stone them. The people were not open to hear another voice. And of course, what does God want to do? He wants to kill all the people of Israel, and he says to Moshe, I'll make you into a great nation. And this is not the first time it's happened. After the golden calf, God got very annoyed and upset, and Moshe interceded then, as he does again in this week's Parsha, and thank God for that, we're all here today. So I want to pick up on this idea of they wanted to stone the two spies who said that it's a possibility. Why aren't people open to hearing a different message? They don't have to agree to that message, but they couldn't. The moment people said something different that they didn't want to hear, they wanted to stone them. Thank God in Israel, no one is looking to stone me as a gay conservative rabbi in Israel, but they certainly don't want to call me rabbi. They don't want to recognize me as being a rabbi. They don't think that the shul that I led for 8 years until 2 years ago, and that continues in Rehovot, they don't think it should be called a synagogue, a shul, Bet Knesset, or whatever. They certainly do everything to make sure that we don't get the government funding that the Orthodox get. And we see that when people are not open to listening to what other people have to say and to their ways of understanding and believing, that this leads to bad things. 40 years in the desert instead of going straight to the land of Israel. You know, that's not a small punishment. And all the people who were alive from the golden calf time and from the story of the spies, they all died out before going into Israel, all those who were under 20 years old. 20 was well, I don't know, here you have 21 and 18, but 20 was the cutoff mark in those days. And in Israel, we need to learn from the messages that the Torah is teaching us, and especially those who believe in the Torah. And the great message from today even God knows when to say, okay, salachti kidvarecha, I will pardon as you have asked. When God is shown by Moses, by a mere human being, that you sometimes have to act differently to your first instinct. That is a very, very important message that this parasha is sending to us. As I mentioned before, I'm not recognized as a rabbi in Israel. I do weddings. I say exactly the same brachot, right? The same blessings, the 2 cups of wine, the chuppah, everything, and we even break the glass at the end, right? There's no wedding if you don't break a glass. Of course, that's the least halach. It's not even halachic or whatever. But I can do exactly the same. And you don't have to be a rabbi to do a wedding, right? Anyone who knows what they're doing can recite for the couple. There needs to be a minyan. And there you've got a wedding. But I will not be recognized as being able to perform this wedding from the point of view of the state, because there are some people who say, this is the way you do Judaism, and only this way. And I think we all know very well, and I think they know very well, that if you say there's just one way, or one way with very small variations within that, then not many people are going to connect. And it's gone so far in Israel that so many non-religious people, they're just not religious. They're not non-believers either. Most Israelis, according to all sorts of polls that are done, believe in God or something in the form of God. Yet they don't want to practice religion as the Orthodox establishment is suggesting. There is no pluralism in the official way the country is run. And that's not working. When I have a group of bar mitzvah kids, and we get to the lesson on bar mitzvah, you when you're here in the States, you join a shul even before your kid is born to make sure that they get the education you want them to get for their bar bat mitzvah, and it's a wonderful way of life. And so when they get to the bar bat mitzvah, they already know a lot about Judaism and how to celebrate Judaism, whether it's in the shul or outside, in the home and other places. When the kids come to us, first of all, I got a lot of second boys in the family, right? They're not so great into bat mitzvah yet. We're trying to change that. But a lot of Israelis, they come to us for their second son because the mother said, I'm not going through that again, what I went through in an Orthodox synagogue. And to me, that's really sad, just to start there. Why did they have such a negative experience? But then on the unit that I had a 10-week course with the kids. They already know how to read Hebrew, more or less. They know about the Chagim, they learn stuff in school. But then I would ask them on the unit about prayer, who can complete the sentence, Shema Yisrael? And I look around the circle of between 8 and 15 kids, mainly blank faces. To me, that's like such a failure of how Judaism is presented in Israel. The fact that at school they're scared in the secular schools to teach them anything beyond the stories of Tanakh is it's just mind-boggling that that's what we've got to. Because, and I'm not talking about Orthodoxy, I'm talking about the Orthodox establishment in Israel, the chief rabbinate and the Ministry of Religious Affairs. They have done everything, and a couple of the mainly ultra-Orthodox parties, done everything they can to make sure that the only official way of celebrating Judaism in Israel is the Orthodox way. And even modern Orthodox people are very unhappy with this. So I make it very clear, I have nothing against Orthodoxy per se. But the way things are run in Israel, it needs to change. And why does it need to change? We all talk about Jewish identity. And I grew up in the UK, and like you here, you gain your Jewish identity in various ways, at home, in school, perhaps, in shul, youth movement, all various different ways. And you learn different things in different places. But in Israel, there's for the non-Orthodox members of society, and we're talking probably about 75% of the Jews in Israel, they're not getting the shul part, they're not getting very much stuff at school. At home, they will get whatever parents and grandparents do. So there are plenty families who might not be religious at all, but they'll do kiddush, they'll light Shabbat candles. But apparently, Shema Yisrael doesn't go the whole way. And sometimes the parents are there in the room as well, and they look embarrassed that their kid doesn't know. And luckily, there's normally at least one, and sometimes there's more. And if it's the end of the 7th grade, perhaps more might know. But what can we do to ensure that more young Israelis can connect to their Judaism in a way that is meaningful to them? And that's what pluralism, or Jewish or religious pluralism, is about, presenting different ways for people to connect. And I strongly believe that whilst I am very much entrenched in Masorti conservative Judaism, and for me that works the best, I know for other people different ways work excellently for them, and therefore it's my job to ensure that whilst my main work will be around Masorti, but I will support other ways of connecting to Judaism, whether it be Reform, for example, that also has a number of shuls in Israel, whether it be secular Judaism, where people can connect to our texts, to our traditions, without the God part. If that's the way they want to connect, then I must ensure that that can happen. And of course, if I need to ensure that, then the state definitely needs to ensure that, to be sure that when we send our youngsters to fight for our country, they have a reason to go and fight for the country. If you send someone to war and they're not really sure, well, why don't I just get on a plane and go and live in Europe, in the States, somewhere else? I have a passport from Poland, I have a passport from Czech Republic, who knows, everyone's trying to get another passport. Why should I stay here when it's so difficult? But if we can really build up people's Jewish identity, then that will give a much stronger reason to stay and fight, and a reason to fight, and to understand what that fight is about. And so we at Masorti, we partner with many other organizations. There's one organization called Panim, Faces, which is based on the Shivim Panim na Torah, 70 faces to the Torah. And there are organizations from across the religious rainbow, if you like. It's very colorful. Not ultra-Orthodox, I'm afraid, but certainly modern Orthodox, secular, Reform, Masorti, and those who are just involved in Jewish identity. And it's really our job to ensure that happens. And of course, one of the ways, being director of development for Masorti, I'm always going to say one of the ways you can do that is through us. But I'm not joking. It's like, if there aren't different shuls for people to find where the mother can take part in the bar and bat mitzvah, whether the daughter can have a bat mitzvah, then we will lose so many people within Israel. And we must give different ways of connecting. Even within our shuls, we have to make sure, like in your shul, there are different minyanim, there are different options on Shabbat morning. We have to ensure that. And that is very important work that we are doing together with many, but not enough partners in Israel. And I would be remiss. My English is getting worse and worse. I've been living in Israel almost 40 years now. That next year are the elections for the WZO, World Zionist Organization, and it's like, what's that? And like, what's that to do with me? Basically, it's almost like the Parliament of the Jewish people, and there are elections in the States, in Canada, other countries. Some countries just send delegates, and it's done. The elections, you vote for a party, and the way it works in the States and abroad is that if you're a conservative Jew, hopefully you will vote for Merkaz, which is the party of the conservative Masorti movement around the world. And why is it important that you vote? Because the more people, the more delegates we have, that translates directly into more funding. not just for Masorti movement in Israel, but for Masorti and conservative Judaism around the world, through the Jewish Agency, through KKL, JNF, and other organizations. And it also shows the government of Israel that if a lot of conservative Jews, a lot of Reform Jews, a lot of other affiliated Jews are connecting to Israel this way, then they have to take them into account. And so it also will translate into government funding. Actually, the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, which in Israel, which you would expect to be in contact with Jews in the States, is actually in contact with us as well. And they've given us some funding because they want to show you here, right, that they are helping us. It's peanuts, but it's better than nothing. It's allowing us to reach out, where we'll be doing some programming in Ofakim, which was one of the cities that was attacked on October the 7th. But it's really important to be involved and to know about these things and to know how you can influence. And I will finish up with, why is that important for you nevertheless? It's like, you're sitting here, you've got a beautiful shul, you have wonderful kihila, wonderful community in the Los Angeles area, so many things to do, so many options in the States in general. What's the matter what's going on in Israel? Of course, those of you who are just connected for various reasons, family or religious reasons. But a lot of us are like, yeah, that's nice, but it's a long way away. Why do I have to help even financially or by voting in elections? I strongly believe that a strong Israel ensures a strong community outside of Israel. And a strong community outside of Israel ensures a strong Jewish community within Israel. And we have to be in dialogue the whole time. And we have what to learn from each other, and I believe we have what to teach each other as well. And to ensure that we're not going in our different ways. Israel, Judaism is changing there because we're the government, we're running the country. Whereas Judaism here is based on the fact that you're a minority. And so changes happen that are different in the different communities. But we still need to make sure that we can speak together, and that the idea that we are Jewish and our Jewish identity actually brings us together. So we need to ensure that Israel understands that there are different ways of being Jewish. And you can actually make that difference even just by putting a vote in the ballot box. It'll be next year, 2025. Of course, they're now arguing when the election should be, because Jews can never agree on anything. So I'm not sure exactly, but they're supposed to be in 2025. Please God, that will happen. And I'm sure that you will hear more about that in your shul bulletin and things when it actually becomes more real. But just planting that seed in your mind.
You have been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast site or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about Temple Beth Am Los Angeles, go to tbala.org.